Information is key to being able to, sometimes you feel something inside yourself and you just don't know how to get it out. And the new school, that the education that I got there with the various teachers, Kamal Scott, Richard Harper, Gerard D'Angelo, Cecil Bridgewater, Jimmy Owens, it helped me to really communicate the things inside of myself with the knowledge now that I have, that I learned out of the book, but also connecting that now with the intuition that I had as a musician and feeding that also.
So you developed the other part of your skill in other places like Chicago.
Yeah. I think that some things you only learn, first of all, by doing, and second of all, by seeing, not in any specific order. And sometimes you just got to be in it. And there are something you can't learn all of this language. Music is a language, jazz is a language, blues is a language. All of this, you can't learn it all in a book.
Right.
You can learn skill sets on how to make a sentence in a book, but it won't tell you how to read it with emotion. And I think you learn those things by watching people, being put in that situation yourself where you got to, on stage, the seconds fly by, whether you're doing a ballad or up-tempo swing, and you have to make a decision. And the biggest thing that I am still learning now and that I'm trying to reach deeper into is to be fully in the moment and not worried about the next. And I think that's probably just a life lesson in general.
Preach that. Can you teach me that secret? You know what I mean?
I'm learning it, man. It's kicking my butt too.
So if you could do it all over again, would you do it the same way?
Well, there have been moments where in my grief or in my uncertainty that I have thought to myself, what am I doing? What did I get myself into? Or just questioned the path that I was on. But, hindsight is 20/20, and I'm not where I hope to be, but I'm not where I was. And one thing that I have learned in this journey so far is that everything that came before, that happened before, whatever it was, whether it was good or bad, has helped to make me what I am now. And so if I'm looking at my future with hope, then I should look at my past with thankfulness.
Wow. Man, you have really good answers. We need to hang out more often. Goddamn, Brianna, what should I do with my life?
That's the question I ask you all the time. What you talking about?
So
you're in my top 5.
Right. So, but let's talk about, because we didn't talk about your transition to New York. You didn't come straight to New York from Peoria. You went to Chicago. You went to Nashville. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that a little bit.
So, I grew up until I was 21. I was in Peoria, Illinois, which has a very rich musical scene. I was very fortunate to grow up around a lot of great musicians, my father being one of them. He was a vocalist and a drummer, and he played in a band called Dave and the Dynamics, the first band that I ever performed and sang with at the Taste of Peoria in front of 2,000 people, and he made me do the Cabbage Patch on stage. What's that dance you've been doing around the house? So that and MC Hammer. But anyway.
Okay. It's like, what, 91?
Oh, my gosh. I was 6, and he brought me on stage with him to sing What a Wonderful World. And there's, like I was saying, many amazing musicians in Peoria. Dave Parkinson, who was the band leader, used to play with James Brown. My father, when Ike and Tina came to town and other bands on the Chitlin circuit, he was the drummer they'd call. Gail Thomas, she was a great vocalist that worked with that group. That I grew up hearing all these people, Judy Page, Preston Jackson, Steve Dagenforth, the first guitar player that I ever worked with that made me fall in love with the guitar. And just a rich heritage of amazing musicians. And Chicago and Peoria are just 3 hours apart.
Right.
So it's just kind of like a hop, skip, and a jump. And I went up to Chicago when I graduated high school, and I lived up there for about a year. And I was going to go to Columbia University, didn't work out. And it just wasn't the place for me. You know, you feel you have to learn to trust that instinct. And I'm glad I did. But Chicago, Vaughn Freeman, Fred Anderson, who was like a musical father to me. I would go to his jam sessions all the time, and he just every week, and he was very encouraging to me. He served it straight up. You need to do this. You need to do, you know, and I learned a lot from him. He was really like a dad to me, and went back to Peoria after a year. My mother's mother, my grandmother, was passing away of pancreatic cancer. She was a beautiful person. Happened quick, but I was helping my mom take care of her. And she lived in Iowa. So I always tell people I got two sides of the country. My dad's from Mississippi. My mom is from Iowa.
Right.
but then I lived in Peoria, worked as a loan processor for a while, and gigged. But the scene in Peoria isn't as jumping as cities like Chicago or New York. So then I went through some changes that only life can bring, things that you never see coming. And I made a decision to pack all my stuff in the back of my car. And I had a little hatchback with no air.
Oh, yeah. I think we all had a car with no AC at some point.
I rolled down the windows and I had central air.
Listen, I used to have this 1991 Ford Explorer. You ever seen that movie Set It Off?
Oh my gosh.
So it was a getaway car in that movie.
Yes.
But my AC didn't work and my windows didn't let
Oh
down.
Lord.
But I had a sunroof that twisted. So I just twist that motherfucker up. 100 degrees outside, just chilling.
It makes you appreciate when you get where you have more. So I didn't have a CD player. I had the CD thing with the tape cassette.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Had the little ribbon coming out.
Yes, bumping whatever I was listening to. So I put all my stuff, including my saxophone, which I didn't really. I played saxophone in high school and some college, and my everything in the back of that car, and drove down to Nashville, and I stayed there for 2 years with a very gracious family that took me in after some hardship, and I needed to get out of the environment that I was in. I think that's something very important in your development. When you reach a place in your development, we don't think of life as development, but it is. It's moving forward. Right. When you go, through moments and you reach a moment where you recognize you need something different, give yourself permission to accept that change and go forth in it with courage, because that change made all the difference for me. I ended up here in New York City, going to school at the New School, learning things that, first of all, in college, never thought I'd go, learning things that never had. I never knew. You learn some things that you realize, my God, thank you for putting me in this situation so that I could know these things, because it just changed the game. I love to write. I was writing songs before I knew how to actually write them and what a seventh chord was. I did the Betty Carter Jazz Ahead program in high school, and I was my senior year of high school, and I got there, and Alan Johnson, DC pianist, amazing. I get there, and Carmen Lundy says to me, "Where's your music?" And I was like, "I sent it to y'all on the tape." And I didn't know that I needed sheet music. So Alan takes me out in the hallway, and he watches me play it on piano and transcribes it for me. And the next year I came back and I showed Miss Lundy, here go my charts. They were all seventh chords, and I only knew root position, but I wrote it.
Hey, that's all right.
But, just all these moments in life that all of them lead you to where you are. And I think wherever you are today, it's super important. And I'm finding this recently. I said this earlier, but I am not where I was, and I'm not where I'm going, but it's super important to acknowledge that, because I think that also feeds the journey.
Wow. Once again. So I'm curious, like, what feeling do you want your audiences to leave your performances with?
Every audience is different, and I'm learning this more and more as I share that space with the people that come. It's a privilege to have them come out. They could be doing anything with that moment in their life, and sharing is some of the most enriching and incredible. It's one of the most incredible things that you can do with your time and your existence, because when you share, you give and you get. So people have things that you don't have, and it just widens your scope of self, soul, and everything. So the audience, when I'm sharing with the audience, and it really is that it's like a moment, I think sometimes, I don't know if they realize how much they feed us on stage, not just because they're clapping, but their presence alone. I want people, when they are in my audience, to know they are not here on earth by themselves. They are not alone in their struggles. And whatever it is I'm talking about, I'm not just singing about it or speaking about it because I want to pay homage to my own struggles or triumphs in life, but because I want us to share that. I want us to share that moment of struggle or that moment of triumph. It's not about sitting in your sorrow. It's about going through it and to the other side and gaining perspective. And I think music can usher in that kind of exchange, that kind of personal moment for someone. It's very interesting, because I think in audiences, and as I've been a part of audiences as well, I'm sitting there having an emotional experience that is unto myself, that the person next to me may not ever fully understand. But at the same time, when it's a truth that is translating through the room, it's something that we're in together. So that kind of thing is really inspiring to me and incredible. And I think that it's all our duty, all of us. It's our duty as artists to really give that moment the weight and the moment that it deserves.
Heard that. Well, I think that's it for today. So thanks for coming by. This is the Working Artist Project.
Thank you.